I want to be teaching today, exalting you, encouraging you on a dependable God. Not long after my husband and I got married, by the time we got married, he was pastoring a church of 2,500 people. And not long after that, he took ill. There was a lot of pressure and a crisis that the enemy put in to destabilize the church and perhaps to scatter the church. And he took ill for weeks. Doctors carried out tests. They ran different type of tests, and they found nothing. Cultured his blood, cultured everything they could culture, and there was nothing. We were living in the city of Ibadan, and our father in the gospel, Reverend George Adeyemi, asked that he be withdrawn and brought to Ilorin to rest, because the doctors said it was psychosomatic and there wasn't anything they could do further than they've done. But this man was very, very sick. He could barely talk at some point, emaciating. And we went to this place. A hotel was booked, and we were staying in that hotel. And my husband would lie down, hardly being able to speak. All they gave us was paracetamol. And they said every time that his temperature would go up, I should give him paracetamol. And that was what we were doing. He couldn't eat. He would just lay there. And it was just maybe barely a year that we were married, and I was pregnant with our first child. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't call his father or his mom to come take care of him, because now they've entrusted their son to my hands and to the hands of God. But I knew there was a God. I knew that we serve a living God. I knew that God cannot fail, and that I could rely on him, and I could depend on him. And as led of the Spirit, I shut down 3 days in fasting and prayer. And the first day, I just prayed, because at this point, the doctors said there was nothing else they could do, and they couldn't find anything that was wrong with him. So I'll just pray. He could pray under his breath the best he could. He would sleep. He would wake up hardly able to eat anything. You know, sometimes he would struggle to take pap. And we were there. And I was just praying. And on the third day of that prayer and fasting, God showed me a revelation. It was an open vision. And in that vision, I saw him fighting, struggling, fighting, like, and there was a python around him. And he was struggling to get out. He was fighting. And it was as though that python was going to squeeze him. And then all of a sudden, a sword appeared from heaven and dropped in his hand, and he grabbed it. And he pulled that sword. A hand came from heaven and put hand on his hand and thrust it on the head of the python. and the python died. And then he got off. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the day that the victory was won. That was the day that the victory was won. And that day, he slept. He couldn't even sleep. He couldn't sleep overnight. He slept like a baby. And when he woke up the next morning, I told him what I'd seen. And we just went into praise. And that next day was the first time that he could finish a cup of pap. For the first time. And he started eating. And the rest is history. I tell you that story today to say to everyone here who is about to give up on God, or someone who is watching, who feels they are in so much trouble, they are in so much agony, they are going through a lot, and it feels like, you know what, maybe, just maybe, God has forgotten me. He hasn't. He's working warfare on your behalf in the spirit because he's dependable. He's reliable. He's a God who never fails.